Well, hello, beautiful Black woman. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
We're so grateful that you decided to join us today and share some time with us. And so let's get started with you introducing yourself in your business.
All right. Well, my name is Nadine Duncan. I am the founder of the Traveling Black Women Network. We are a travel resource network.
Okay.
I've been to about 59 different countries. 60th is going to be for my 40th birthday coming up in October. So I'm super excited about that. Um,
Wonderful.
thanks. I'm originally from New Jersey, family's from Trinidad, but I actually live in Atlanta now. Um, I found the network mainly because I wanted Black women specifically to have some level of resources about what it would look like for us to travel the world. So we have everything from travel guides, ebooks, social media, of course, a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog,
Oh,
whatever it
wow.
is that you need to access information, we have it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes,
so you told us why you started. You wanted Black women to have resources to be able to travel wherever they wanted to.
yes.
When did you start your business? How many years have you had this network going on?
So I originally started with my first book in 2015. So at that time, it was just a self-published guide. It was just me. There was no business, no huge business built around it or a network built around it. It was just the guide. But
Got
as
you.
the conversations with the guide started to take place, I realized, wait a minute, I'm tapping into something here.
Right, right,
There's a need here for everyone to be able to access information in whatever way feels comfortable. And
right.
being a former educator, that is how I teach. I have to so
Ah,
that everybody has something that speaks to them. If you're a listener, here's this podcast. If you're a watcher,
got you.
YouTube video.
Well,
So
whichever way you learn, if you learn auditory or visual, I got you.
yes,
Got you.
exactly. And that
Beautiful.
is
A
how,
hands-on.
right. Open up a book, or
Yes.
talk. You need to interact with people. We do have a Facebook group as well, about
Okay.
24,000 women in there. So it's just giving Black women an opportunity to figure out what they need to find the resources to travel. That's how passionate I am about travel. It's like
Oh,
whatever you need, I'm gonna try to create
wonderful.
it so you can get it and you can go somewhere other than here and just see how
Yes.
big this world is.
Yes. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yes.
travel is so close to my heart too, because I think it's such a we do it such a disservice to our spirit when we just stay in one place for our entire lifetime.
Right.
It's like there's a type of opening up that comes when you travel. It's
Right.
kind of like your mind, your spirit, and your soul feels differently in different
Mhm.
places.
Right.
And you feel things that you're not going to feel at home. So it's a
Exactly.
total different set of emotions that come out, when you
Yes.
travel. So I'm
Yes.
really excited about what you're doing here with your travel network. So it started with the book. It
Mhm.
started with your own passion to travel.
Yes, yes. So I had actually just moved back from Abu Dhabi, and
Okay.
I felt like every time I got into a circle of women, I was getting the same questions. People were amazed at the fact that I had moved and lived abroad, and even during that
Yes.
time, I was traveling. So that excitement was always on the top of every conversation. It was at the top of every
Right.
conversation. Someone was asking me about, well, how do they treat Black people, and what did you do about your
Yes.
hair, and all of these questions. And I realized, like, okay, what else can I do? And then I went into creating the social network and then kind of building that out, getting the group going and having people having allowing people to have conversations. Because what I realize is everybody doesn't read, right? Everybody is
Right.
not going to pick up a book and thumb through it, but they may ask questions. And I feel like you still need some of that. So that's where
Right.
that went next. And then after that, it was, well, I lived in Dubai for a while. People are still asking questions. They think it's so strict, or they
Right.
have a lot of misconceptions about it. So let me write a book about Dubai. And then I
Ah.
realized, like, okay, I'm on to something. And I
Yes.
started inviting other women, other Black women, to write guides. So now we have 12 guides in all.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful.
9 of the guides are written by other women. So now from that, I built the publishing company. So the publishing
Ah,
company is now
look at
around
you.
travel guides. Yes.
Oh, that's exciting. It's
Yes.
exciting. It just kind of
Yes.
snowballed into all the right places.
Right.
So you
Right.
said you have how many guys now? 12?
Now we have 12 so far.
12
Yep.
guys. So how can we get access to these guides?
So they're on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, on my website, travelingblackwomen.com,
Okay.
on my link tree from Instagram. So wherever
Okay.
books are sold, pretty much, you can get the ebook, the Kindle, the Nook, or the paperback.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. So travelingblackwomenetwork.com.
No, just women. So
Oh,
travelingblackwomen.com.
okay. Travelingblackwomen.com.
That's
Okay,
right.
listeners, get on that website and look at these guides. Because speaking of Dubai, like you said, we have so many misconceptions because we've never been these places. And
Right.
people like us haven't been these places to tell us their stories. So
Right.
it's really deep what you're doing because it's like we have a trusted resource.
Right.
You know, we have someone we can identify with who would feel the way we feel, be looking for the things we're looking for. And
Exactly.
then kind of it's like having a private conversation with the friend. Okay, what was it like there?
Exactly.
Okay, now I
Exactly.
want to go.
Right.
Beautiful. I love that. I love
Right.
that. I love
Right.
that. So when you first started, you started with your book, where you
Mhm.
started your own travel journey in your own life. Then you wrote a
Mhm.
book about some of your travels, and then you expanded. So when you started expanding into a business, what would you say was one of your biggest challenges?
When I first started, now I've since retired, quote unquote. But when I first started, I was still working full time. And I
Okay.
worked full time up until the pandemic. Now I
Okay.
still technically work full time, but I'm an independent contractor, so I have a little bit more flexibility with my time.
Got you.
That made it hard because, of course, as a teacher, and I'm a special education teacher at that,
Yeah.
your the demands on your time is it's a lot. You
Yes.
it's a long day, and then after the day is done, you're still doing extra work.
Right.
And then just the way the school system is set up, they're gonna tap you to do different things, extracurriculars, and all these other little things. So you find that the things that you're most passionate about, because they're not really making you much money, they kind of get pushed to the side.
Got
So that
you.
way you can. But after the pandemic happened and I had the opportunity to actually work from home for pretty much that whole school year, I took some
Right.
time and went to Mexico for 3 weeks while still working from home. And I
Okay.
realized how much I liked that feeling. So I was like, you know what? I got to get on this travel thing. Like one of the
Yeah.
biggest frustrations that I found coming back is going back into normal spaces, whether it be work, whether it be just whatever nonprofit or volunteer work that I was doing, whatever it was. I had these grand ideas now that I had traveled and lived abroad,
Right.
and everyone was still kind of right here.
Yes.
It's kind
You
of
had
very,
your
very
your mind had opened up, but theirs was right where you left them.
right,
Yes.
right. And it kind of made for a very uncomfortable situation at times because sometimes I felt like, am I crazy? Like, see
Right.
different ways we could do this, and it made me realize that exposure is what actually opens the mind. And a lot of
Right.
folks have not been exposed yet. So if I'm really passionate
Exactly.
about what I need to do, I need to
Hmm.
get on how to make sure people are getting exposed to more of
Yes.
it. So
Yes.
I pivoted. I became an
Right.
independent contractor, did something different, and I was able to put more time and energy now into my business than I was able to before.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So that initial challenge was dealing with working full time and
Right.
trying to build this on the side when
Right.
your full-time job kind of leaked into those personal hours too. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't just
Yeah.
you cut it off when you leave the job, you still had other things and things
Exactly.
asked of you and other responsibilities that it wasn't easy to cut it off and then focus on this for
Right.
those hours. So and also you spoke to how traveling expands your mind, how, and I'm an advocate for when you kind of, it's like a getaway. When you get away and you don't have the everyday things that you normally do, that pattern that almost like a lot of times we walk through life like we're hypnotized.
Yes.
Get up at the same time. We fix lunch the same way. We go
Yes.
here, we work this, we talk to the same people. We come home and we have that same exact routine and we don't deviate from it. But when we travel, that routine
Mhm.
is not there. So we start feeling and thinking different things. Your brain say, okay, I'm not preoccupied with that routine. What
Right.
can I think about now? Look at
Right.
this and look at that. And what about that? And oh, I forgot I like
Right.
that. So not only are you, when you mentioned coming back in the experience with your mind being broadened, but everybody else stuck here, you
Mhm.
know, if someone was to think about, okay, if I've never gone anywhere but in this same state or in this
Mhm.
same hemisphere, what could be out there that would broaden my mind, that would change my life, you know, that I'm not going to get just keeping these same routines.
Yeah.
So you're passionate about travel and opening that up to more people. Can you imagine if a whole group of people had their minds broadened and came back from a trip and started
Yes.
doing things differently? It would change the
Yes.
world, you know. So it's world changing, you know,
Yes.
not just I'm on a trip and I'm coming back to the normal. You can change your world and the world by letting your
Absolutely.
mind open up through that experience.
Yes. Our
So,
my most recent episode, it's actually going to be available on Sunday, September 24th. But the most recent episode of my podcast is self-love and travel. And that is
ah,
exactly what we talk about. How to bring
yes,
those elements of being of traveling, how you treat yourself when you travel, all those things that you do
yes,
for yourself and how
yes,
excited you are and those moments of joy and whatnot.
right,
How do you bring that back home so that becomes part of your daily routine, you know?
exactly.
So that you hit the nail right on the head because we just talked
Yes.
about that. We just talked
Okay.
about how powerful that
Okay.
is.
It is definitely
hmm
wonderful, wonderful. So in your travels, what were some of the first places you traveled to?
Well, my family being from Trinidad, when I was younger, that was where I went every Christmas and summertime. So
Got
I
you.
was always on a plane, sometimes by myself, flying as an unaccompanied minor. I don't
Uh-huh.
even remember when my very first flight was. Um,
Ah,
but my very first trip on my own outside of Trinidad was actually in college for spring break. I went to
okay.
Italy and I just fell in love. I already knew that the world was
Hold
magic.
up. Stop the press. You went to Italy for spring break
Yes,
when
yes,
most people flock to Florida for spring break.
yes.
You went to Italy for spring
I went to
break.
Italy. Yeah, but I will say I did have a friend studying abroad. I had a friend who was studying
Okay.
abroad at the time. So that's
So
kind of
you
what my
went to
draw
visit your
was.
friend. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So there was a draw there. There was definitely a draw there.
Still. Wonderful spring break idea. So you went to
Right.
Italy. Okay.
But that was my first time on a really long flight, not just the usual 4 hours from
Right.
New York to Trinidad, but a long flight, a layover in France. I got to use at that time the little French that I was learning in school. So I'm over there,
Mm-hmm.
getting my directions, trying to get through the airport. That was exciting. And I was by myself because I was meeting my friend. So in actuality, my very first trip outside of family trips was a solo trip.
Yeah.
That experience of trying to navigate it, I really enjoyed it. I felt free. I felt
Mm-hmm.
like, let me try to use my French over here. Bonjour, USA, and I just, it was such a great experience for me. I could be very silly even just by myself, you know. So I loved it. And from there I was like, you know what? I gotta do this again. But at that point, I knew that studying abroad would mess with my credits. So I was like, I gotta do this again, but not now.
Got
And I
you.
didn't really get an opportunity to do it again until my second year into teaching. Like my first year as a teacher was regular, just regular trips to Miami, I guess you can say, and that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But then my second year I went on a cruise, a 7-day cruise, and I
Okay.
visited all these different islands, and I was able to compare things to Trinidad or compare places to Trinidad, and I was like, wow, I want to see some more. And then it kind of
Okay.
started building from there. And then
Mhm.
before you know it, let me sign up for this teach abroad program. It's in Abu
Ah,
Dhabi. I haven't even heard of it, but I'm going. So
right.
it just kept building from there.
Okay. So when you went
Yeah.
on the cruise, you were a solo traveler too?
No, so I went on the cruise with two friends from high school and a couple
Okay.
of their friends. So it was like
Okay.
I think for all of us, it was like really our first time really getting away beyond, different areas and states.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Beautiful. I love that. This is so exciting. So looking at the travel industry is really, especially post-COVID.
Mhm.
Have you seen any changes in the industry? It's really how it relates to us as Black women. Are we
Yes.
traveling more now?
Yes. Absolutely traveling more because you're getting a lot more influencers now. That's the big thing. It has its pluses and its minuses because you still kind of want to keep you kind of want to keep it away from the social media pull of things just becoming commercialized or a
Right.
visual more so than the deeper meaning. But a lot of the influences that are still after the deeper meaning are still there. So you're seeing a lot more of that now. You have the Black Travel Alliance, Blacks in Travel and Tourism, these organizations that are popping up and really challenging some of these companies that have always
Yes.
only publicized white travelers to start
Yes.
incorporating more travelers of color, more Black travelers, more Black women. So you're starting to see that shift. And I think one of the other things that you're starting to see as well is a lot of people realize COVID just kind of popped up on us. Like no one planned in 2005 to have COVID in 10 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
once that happened, it was kind of that mindset of, oh, Jamaica will always be there, Trinidad will always be there, Paris will always be there.
Ah.
No, it won't. You better get on a plane and
Ah.
go to
Right.
town.
Right.
Some of
Exactly.
that started to kind of disrupt that complacent mindset of not really
Yes.
wanting to like pull the trigger on actually booking a flight and going somewhere. It was like, all right, let me do this before something else happens and
Right.
I can't again. So I think
Exactly.
that kind of motivated a lot of people as well.
Oh, wonderful. I like that. Yeah, that's so true. Because before, to your point, you could put it off and say, oh, but now you're like, oh, who knows what might come up next? And I
Right,
won't be able to go for 2 or 3 years. So
right,
let me plan it and take advantage of it now.
right,
Wonderful.
right. I think it also gave people the option to see that America's not in charge. And I think we have this weird mindset sometimes, and not to any fault of anyone's, it's just, just being where you are for a long period of time, you don't realize what else is going on out there. And I know that a lot of
Right.
people outside of America would look at Americans and say, you guys don't know what else is going on in the world. And I think
Right.
that gave us an opportunity to really see like a country could not let you in. They don't care about you being American. If that is their
Exactly.
rule and that is their
Mhm.
law, that's what they, that's their guidelines. And so even if it's not COVID, I think there's also that realization that came about that, you can potentially not be admitted into certain countries based on their laws. And that has nothing to do with you being an American or not. And those
Exactly.
conversations, I think, started to change, the tone of like, all right, what do I need to go do? How do I need to get involved in this travel thing?
Exactly. Exactly. Got you.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So looking at your entrepreneur journey and how it kind of just grew organically from one desire to the next, how did you fund your business when you were first getting started? Was it personal funds? Did you get finances from banks or from family members? Or how did that entrepreneur process go for you?
All personal funds, all
Okay.
personal funds, and that's why my journey has been very slow.
Uh-huh.
um Grant writing has been difficult just
Mm-hmm.
because everything, like I was saying before, is compounded. So I honestly don't have this big grand plan that goes from beginning to end that I
Got it.
could always articulate it well in the beginning, because I would
Mm-hmm.
see like, well, it'd be great if I had a bunch of guides, but I didn't know what that looked like. And as
Right.
went on and I took things step by step, then I could see what it looked like. Then I could see the different websites that would allow me to publish and, outside of
Oh,
Amazon and things like that. So things just kind of grew so organically that it made it a little bit difficult, in all honesty, for me to figure out how can I best articulate this on a grant application. And
got
as a
you.
result, I didn't get any grant applications. I
Got you.
didn't get a lot, I
Got
didn't get
you.
any. But then in the process of me making the decision to quit teaching to go into being an entrepreneur full time, one of the things that I decided to do was to start running an Airbnb. So I did purchase a home that would allow me to, do the Airbnb thing, and those funds go almost 100% directly into building the business.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
it's my grant to myself.
Got you.
It's my
Exactly.
grant to myself,
Yeah,
because
you
I
found the
still
way
love
to
hospitality.
finance yourself. Yeah.
Exactly,
I
exactly. And I
love
love
that.
hospitality anyway. It's still connected to travel. The
Yes.
entire Airbnb actually is a whole travel theme. And then I encourage, hey, go see the world. I had some college students, I've been doing this now for 2 years, about a year ago, and I just left them some free study abroad guides, like, hey, take a
Oh,
guide before you leave. So it's still there. The conversation is still there, it's still kind of like, let me create something around it. But really and truly, this is my direct funding source for me to continue building this company.
Got you. That is so creative. I love that. I love that you spoke about how your business grew slowly, because
Yeah.
a lot of us think that everything has to be big and quickly,
Right.
in your process of figuring it out as you went along,
Mm-hmm.
because that is an issue when you're trying to get grants or other people vested. It's kind of like, okay, I have this part of the dream figured out, and there are some other pieces that are possible, but I don't know exactly how they're going to fit in right now. So it's
Right.
not a clear articulation I can give you,
Right.
And for that
Right.
reason, yeah. So to the sisters out there who are having that struggle and not able to get grants because they have so many pieces they're thinking about, but it's not
Yeah.
in the pot yet, you
Yeah.
know, they can feel your pain. I'm glad you're able to show that. So they know they're not
Yeah.
by themselves. They know, okay, I'm still legitimate.
Yeah.
This is the way a journey can look. I
Yeah.
can figure it out. I can take it slow and then see what it grows into.
Right. Right.
Wonderful. And then I can figure out a way to fund it myself. I love that even more.
Yes.
Plus, I can figure out something else I can do to fund it, so I won't get the grants, but I can make my own money, my own income, my own profit to keep it rolling.
That's
Very
right.
creative. I love that.
That's right.
Love that inspiration.
Yeah,
Wonderful,
I think the
wonderful.
biggest thing is, with business, like you said, it has that feeling of we're supposed to get there and everybody wants to go straight to the top. But
Yes.
there's something to be said for playing the long game, for
Mm,
really investing and being like, all right, I'm going to figure this thing out top to bottom because I want this to be around for a long while. I don't want it to
yes,
just be the snapshot social media type of thing, but I want this to be
exactly.
something that the Black community can really be invested in. And when I say
Um,
invested, not financially, but invested in terms of as soon as you think I'm getting ready to go on a trip, I have no idea what to do. Oh, let me get traveling Black women website pulled up and see what they got.
right.
That's the kind of natural like resource foundation that I want. And then a lot of times when you try to go too fast and you start eliciting a lot of what do you call, like those master classes or even consultants, they're great ideas, but at the same time sometimes the ideas can feel like they don't quite align. They're just
Yes.
they might be trying to, I shouldn't say trying to, but their ways of coaching might be not really aligning. It sounds good, it might make you a lot of money really fast, but it doesn't really align with what the direction that you're trying to go, or whatnot. And I think sometimes that can kind of hinder us too, and kind of cause us
Yes.
to I don't want to say waste money, but then you're putting money towards the wrong things because now you're trying to get somebody else really to tell you what you should be doing, whereas you can kind of pull that from inside of you as you just kind
Mm,
of like take your time. So I think
yes.
that's what has worked for me. I had one
Wonderful.
consultant at one point, and I was just like, "Well, this is good," but there were too many moments where I felt like that's not what I said,
Right,
and that was
right.
enough for me to say, "Okay, I need to figure this out on my own."
Oh, good. I love that too. That's great information, because a lot of times, to your point, we feel like, okay, someone else has the formula that I need to start
Mm,
using to make this grow, as opposed to listening to our intuition and making it
right,
organically what we are, because there's
right,
only one you.
right.
Whatever your dream is and the way you dream it, it's worthy of being out there.
Yep,
It's not, you don't have to copy everything. Okay, this is hot, so let me do it this way. But
right.
that's not what came to you when you originally thought about this dream. So stick with what came to you. And it may not be what everybody else is doing, but that's what makes it unique.
Exactly,
Take your time and listen to your what the passion that came originally. Stay true to
exactly,
that, because
exactly.
there are 1,000 ways to do anything,
That's
but it's
right.
only one your way to do it, right?
That's right.
You
That's
can
right.
copy everybody else, or you can stay true to yourself. Because
Yeah.
we have a challenge. There are more Black women-owned businesses
Mhm.
popping up right now than ever before. They're exceeding
Mm.
women-owned businesses. They're exceeding new businesses total, the percentage.
Wow.
So being a Black woman-owned business, the struggle is, and the challenge is, staying in business for
Mhm.
a long time, not just being a 1 or 2 or 3 year business,
Right.
but passing that 5-year mark and then continuing on. And I
Right.
think one of the elements that makes a difference there is something that you hit on, which is being true to what you were passionate about to start with.
Right.
Because once it starts changing and you're not being yourself and it gets more difficult because now it's more like work than you building your dream, then you kind of, you're not, you lose that vested part of you that you started with. So then
Right.
you're more likely to give up.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
more likely to go in the wrong direction and lose
Yeah.
money, to your point,
Yeah.
as opposed to just keep listening to that intuition and keep going along that path. And I have found in my business that it transforms sometimes. It starts out with one idea, but then something else comes and it feels, well, maybe I should do this. Then I get more messages on that, these coincidences that are not coincidences. I'm like, okay, so this is the way I should go. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
outside these lines, but this is where I should go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. I love that. I love that you were able to listen to yourself and you were able to feel what they're saying is okay, but it's not for me.
Right.
So
Right.
now
Right.
we
And
have this
I think that's a really
beautiful
important part.
network.
Yeah.
So tell us a little more about everything you do. We know you have the books, 12
Mhm.
books that
Yes.
we can get from your website that tell us about all these different places.
Mhm.
You have a Facebook group.
Yes.
Tell us about the Facebook group. What can we get if we go there?
So the Facebook group is the interpersonal side, right? The
Okay.
opportunity to kind of interact with others, a space for people to share their photos, a space for people to ask questions. I'm
Okay.
very, very protective over the group. I put people out. I'm, I'm very protective over the space being a space where you could ask whatever question you want to ask,
Got you.
feel comfortable and safe enough to get an answer that's not laced with sarcasm. You know,
Right.
there is an opportunity to share pictures because there are times where you might go on a trip, you might be one of the only people in your circle that's starting to travel or in your family starting to travel, and sharing pictures on your social media may not always feel as good as you want it to because now you're sharing with people who have not been anywhere. So instead,
Right.
you might get a couple like, oh wow, girl, but then you're gonna get the must be nice, and those kind of things that kind of make you feel like, oh,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Nobody's happy for you. Right.
Yeah, yeah. So that also provides a space, or the group also provides a space for you to share pictures and people to kind of like pump you up, like, oh girl, that looks great, and and have those
Yes.
conversations like, well, what was it like? And oh well, I went here and I saw this. They have this over
Yes.
there too. So giving people the opportunity to talk about their travels in a really safe space,
Got you.
and just engage and be able to think about things you haven't thought of. The last couple of weeks, I've been just doing questions to kind of get people talking about their experiences in travel. And what I've seen, like in the comments, is you see women asking each other questions like, really, what was that like? And, I had a different
Ah,
experience there. And that's the kind of conversations that, I want people to be able to have or feel comfortable having because there's three people involved in those online conversations. Of course, the person who's making whatever statement they're making, the other person who's asking them questions about the statement, and then the third party who is blindly watching the interaction and also
right.
getting some ideas about what they could be doing differently. So all of
Right.
that to me is like, let's create something where we can kind of tap on each other and say, hey, what is this like? And kind of like feed into I guess just feed into each other's spirit, you know?
Got you. Got
Yeah.
you. A safe place and a safe space to come and ask questions to get honest answers or
Yeah.
to just listen and learn, to read and learn. Okay, get
Yes.
ideas. Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes.
And what's
Yes.
the Facebook group called?
The Facebook group is Traveling Black Women, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Same,
Traveling Black.
same. Got you.
Same thing. Yeah, same thing throughout. Traveling Black Women with an E. It's
Uh-huh.
on the book is the Diary of a Traveling Black Woman with an A.
Okay.
But collectively, the network is when you see it spelled out, it is Traveling Black Women
Traveling
with
Black
an E.
women. Wonderful,
Yes.
beautiful. So we have the Facebook group, we
Mhm.
have the travel books,
Yes.
we have your A Traveling Black Woman book,
Uh-huh.
and what else do we have?
The podcast.
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 Okay.
Yes. So we have a podcast. We wrapped up season 1 this summer, 4
Okay.
episodes. So season 2 starts this month. It actually
Okay.
comes out September 24th is our first episode of season 2. We're going to be talking about self-love and travel. And previous
Wonderful.
episodes have talked about solo travel, carnival, just the intro to the podcast in general. And it's really just an opportunity to create yet another platform where people can source information. I know,
Got you.
podcasts are growing now where people can kind of just listen and figure
Right.
out what was your experience like. So that just offers another resource point for that.
Okay. So basically all your platform and your resources are basically sources of information and community for
Yes,
people.
yes.
So do you plan any trips?
No, I partner for trips. So
Okay,
the
wonderful.
trips that I do plan are usually personal trips. It
Okay.
might be my birthday trips, for example. I've been planning my birthday trip since what year was that? With my 35th birthday, we went to Bali, and I
Okay.
had a trip ever since. But that's mostly family and friends, usually a very small, tight knit group. I do have a Trinidad trip, but that's another small, tight knit group. It's only five of us that'll be attending that. And then
Okay.
throughout next year, I have partnerships with Deluxe Week, with events by Ashe, with Carnivalista Lifestyle, and then I'm looking into more for educators, where a trip is planned and Traveling Black Women actually partners with those groups that are planning trips.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So the trips that you spoke of that are coming up this summer, um, how can someone find out more information about those trips?
So those are all on my website as well.
Okay.
There are on the website there are, I think, maybe 5 or 6 bands across the top, but there's one band called or menu items, and one menu item is called Go. And under that
Okay.
menu item, there's a section called Travel Partners, and that will have
Okay.
all the ones that we have now, and then the ones that we will add as time goes on.
Got you. Wonderful. So we can go to that website, click on the Go menu, and find out where we can connect and travel.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So looking at your business and your entrepreneur journey so far, what would you say you love most about being an entrepreneur?
I would say I love the freedom of time the most. I have always been, since I was young, I was the only child. So I've always been very um, self-aware, very self-motivated, intrinsically motivated. I'm able to create routines for myself without the issue of someone else having to tell me what to do, or my mom
Got
having
you.
to remind me. And that was something that was big with my mom, just making sure that when I get home, I'm doing my homework, and I'm going through these routines. So it's very easy for me to do that for myself, to the point where when I'm in a job, a regular, teaching school or whatever, it's very frustrating for people to put that on me when I feel like theirs is not together.
Right.
You don't have a routine. You're trying
Right.
to get a routine. So I feel like this is all about control. I have a problem with this, you know. So I like being able to have that control over my own time, because I'm still going to get it done. I'm not
Right.
a procrastinator. There might be things here and there where I will procrastinate on if I just feel like it's not a priority. But for the most part, I get things done. So I like
Got
being
you.
able to have that autonomy to just move how I want to move. If today's a light day, I'm gonna go work in my yard. Like I like to garden, like a little old lady.
Ah.
My friend called me, she's like a little old lady. But like I love to get in there and garden. I have a bunch of plants that I planted. Some grew, some died about 10 minutes after I walked away. Either way, but it's fun to just be out there and creating and doing those things. So days where I'm just like, okay, well, you know what, I have a pretty light day. Let me just, go work in my yard or sit on my back
Got you.
patio, read a book, do things that I actually can enjoy, and then get back to it, rather than feeling like, oh, I got to do these lesson plans, I got to do this, I got to do that, and then I got to go and try to edit these books, and that fluster of always having something to do creates anxiety, and
Yes.
all of that.
Yes.
Just being able to just do things at my own pace feels great. And
I love that.
I'm one of those kind of business owners or entrepreneurs where I'm not really in a rush. I know that
Uh-huh.
there's always this rush to be first,
Yes.
get this
Yeah.
out there. And I'm just like,
Yes.
for what?
Right.
There really is no reason to rush. When something's
Right.
right, it'll come out at the right time, for the right opportunity. So that it feels good to just, be able to not feel like someone's breathing down my neck to rush me to do anything that there's not even really a need of a rush for, you know?
Got you. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. So you have kind of your own rhythm
Yes, yes,
to your
yes,
business as opposed to being stressed and anxious. You
yes.
allow yourself to have that rhythm because what I see a lot, especially in today's world,
Mhm.
is this hustle mentality that you have to be working at it all the time, 24/7, or else you're not really working. And
Right,
it affects us in a way that it makes us feel guilty when we rest,
right.
or like we have to earn rest. I'm not tired enough to go take a nap right now. I'm a little tired, but there's a lot more I could do as opposed to, okay, my body says go lay down, let me go take a nap. Then
Yeah,
I'll be refreshed and I can do whatever I need to do much better,
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, a lot of people are bitten by this hustle bug, which I think is really not good for us. So I love that you have allowed yourself to have your own rhythm.
yes.
When your day is light, you enjoy the lightness of it. You're not trying to fill it up with something,
Right,
busy. You know how to stay organized and get things done without having to be micromanaged.
right,
Great entrepreneur skills to have. I love
right.
that. So that's what you love most about being an entrepreneur. What would you say you love least about being an entrepreneur?
The money. The money is as slow. It's taking its time, just like everything else. But I mean,
Yes,
it's not necessarily my priority. Like I said before, I recognize that playing the long game is going to have its way of moving, and that's
right.
fine. And I think ultimately I'm not in it to get rich from this, or I'm not
Uh-huh.
in it like I gotta get rich plan. Like this is what I'm gonna do to make myself wealthy. But this is more like this is what I feel purpose to do in order to make sure that our community recognizes that there's a freedom of mind that's necessary for us to continue to grow in life.
Yes,
And as
yes,
long as we kind of confine ourselves by self-imposed limitation, we're not going to be
right.
able to get to that freedom of mind. That's what's most important for me in all of that.
Yes,
you know
yes,
um so because I feel like my purpose is out front, the money will come in terms of for me to support my own livelihood. you know
right,
I think that it becomes frustrating because you realize that even as you work on your passion, you still have to do something else. Like I'm still an independent contractor. I still have like when like when we started the call and I was like, oh, this is my work
right.
background. It's like you still have things to do because you still have to sustain yourself. You still have to be concerned about your livelihood. And that can sometimes take away still, even though it's lighter than before, can still
Right.
take away from the time that I want to spend doing something, or working
Yes,
something for me and for my business. Um,
right.
because it's just that you just have to,
It is. Yes, yes,
even
yes. I
even doing
understand.
the Airbnb thing, like I love it, but I still have to go clean. I still have to
Exactly.
people in. I still have to make sure everybody's okay. So
Right.
there's still things that I have to do that are outside the realm of know the actual network.
Exactly.
But it'll come. It'll come. So
Got you.
I'm comfortable. It's not like
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting here like how Tyler Perry used to be like, and I lived in a car. None of that.
Right.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm comfortable. And even if everything stayed right here where it was, I would still be very happy.
Got you. Got you. Got you. So your motivation is your passion. It's the legacy you want to see out there with what you're creating. And that allows you the peace of mind to let it take its time and to
Yes.
do other things. And I think there are a lot of us that are like that. We have found a way to work on this stream because we're often not privy to the resources that everyone else gets. When you
Right.
look at the amount of funding that Black woman-owned businesses receive or are approved for, it's like a percentage that is so tiny, it's ridiculous.
Right.
So we have to do something else to keep it going. Whereas other business owners can get loans, they can get grants, they can get, finance in different ways more easily so that
Yes.
they can just focus on that one thing. But our journey usually looks different. So I'm glad you're sharing that so that our listeners can realize that wherever they are, even though it doesn't look like that story you saw in the magazine about how this woman's business grew, your story is legitimate. Your journey is legitimate. Just
Right,
let it unfold the way it's going to
right,
unfold.
right.
Oh, beautiful. So what would you want your legacy to be in your business? Well, first, let me ask you this. Where do you see your business 5 years from now?
5 years from now, so we're looking at 2028.
Yes.
Definitely a lot more guides.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be 5 years, but I do want to double the number of guides I have now. So I have
Okay.
niche guides and I have city guides. The niche guides are teach abroad, studying abroad. Of course, the original international guide or guide to international travel. And then what else we have? Teach abroad, study abroad. I feel like I'm missing one. Solo travel. Oh goodness, that's the
Okay.
biggest one. That's the biggest the main seller. So those are our niche guides. Those are the guides that
Okay.
are like, this is how if you're looking at studying abroad, teaching abroad, solo travel, that's what these are for. And then we have the city guides. So I would like to see those those mainly expand. Whether it be um paperback, ebook, Kindle, like being able to have all of those guides and all those different types of print formats available.
Gotcha.
For almost every major city or country that we're visiting or that we should visit, and we just don't know what to expect while we're there. Um,
Gotcha.
so definitely that, because like we have Taiwan, Guatemala, things that places that people haven't really thought of going before,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So I see that. I also see the network in terms of the Facebook group and things like that possibly come off online and become a little bit more private, where it's not so much Facebook, but it's more like, hey, this is a group that I tap into when I need support. Those are
Okay.
some things that I'm looking at. What would it look like in 5 years from now? How can I make this a space where women are where women are looking at traveling Black women as the number one resource for them to use when it comes to
Gotcha.
that's
Okay.
hopefully the trajectory. I don't know if it'll be 5 years. That will be the trajectory. So wherever we land in that 5 year mark, we'll still
Got
be on
you.
the
We on the
trajectory.
got you
Yeah,
on the path to those goals.
yeah, on the
Wonderful.
exactly on the path to making sure that this is a foundational network for women to tap into whenever they want to travel. Um,
Wonderful.
yes, yes.
Now, do you do any type of in-person meetings or do you have any plans to do any in-person type group events?
Well, I am speaking at Black Travel Summit next month in October. It's
Okay.
in Miami, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I
But
see you there because I'm going.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. So yes, I'll be there. But outside of that, no, I haven't not yet. Let me say that, not yet.
Okay.
I do have also Black Creators Weekend. I'm super excited about that in Galapagos
Okay.
with Black Travel Alliance. So I'll be attending
Okay.
that directly after Black Travel Summit. And I'm just so overwhelmed and excited about that one.
Now,
Um,
where's that one?
in Galapagos off of the Ecuador.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the
Nice.
creators weekend with that. So those are the only two like in-person things where I'll be able to kind of see and meet and greet people. But other than
Gotcha.
that, no, not yet. I'm hoping to fill 2024 up though with some awesome things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Sounds good. Now, looking at your business and your passion for what you do, what would you want your legacy to be for your business?
Legacy for my business. I would say that I created an opportunity for women to challenge their own self-imposed limitations. Um, and I say self-imposed because rightfully so, we do have some limitations that have
Yes.
come from all these different historical things, just by virtue of our identity. At the same time, I want us to be strong enough to figure out how to break them and move forward and just
Gotcha.
visualize a whole new reality for ourselves. So
Right.
anything that someone could say about me years from now when I have gone on or whenever, it is, she really pushed us to think outside the box. She really pushed us to try something else. She really made us go see the world. You know,
Right.
that's what I would want it to be. To
Beautiful.
yeah, yeah, that's what I would want it to be.
That's beautiful. I love that. She made us go see the world.
Yes, yes.
Wow. That's amazing. So when you think about you were talking about your podcast and that your next episode is centered around self-care. So share with us, what do you do to take care of yourself, to show yourself that self-care and that self-love, and how do you rejuvenate yourself when you feel like you need to be rejuvenated?
So the cool part about this question now, months ago, probably a year ago, I would have had a concrete response like, I do this, I do that. But I think in the last year I've created a lifestyle where it just happens naturally.
Ah,
On Sundays, I don't really post much on social media. That's one thing that I can say is a clear cut. Like unless I've done a schedule post, I'm not posting on Sundays. I'm not interacting on social media. I'm in the moment of wherever I am, and I have to
gotcha.
keep one day to do that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, like I said, on light days, I'm in my yard. Even before, I was looking at my schedule for today. I was like, okay, we got this time that we're going to start working on our podcast. So this morning I went and ran some errands. I was at Lowe's, picked up some new plants, some fall foliage, all of this stuff. I'm like my own housewife. So I've created this space where, working from home to, I'm able
Yeah.
to handle my business for either early in the morning or late at night, go do other things. And that allows me a lot of self-love and self-care because
Yes.
I'm not moving in a way that feeds anxiety. There was a lot of, and I didn't even realize it till I was out of it, but getting up in the morning and hitting traffic and trying to get to work
Yes.
and walking the door, and of course teaching, it's either 7 kids in your face, 3 adults in your face, or a parent in your face, and there's just no time to come down after there's really no time to
Right.
wake up. Now I can
Right.
wake up slow. So if I wake up at 7 a.m., I can lay there for a while. I can get up, I can move around, I usually come and I open my back door, I have like some chimes, and there's so many birds. I don't know what they're talking about, but I let that in, let that energy in a little bit, make my coffee, and I start my day. And it
Wow.
feels so good because it is my routine. But
Right.
routine, it doesn't feel like it needs to be disrupted. It's a routine that
Yes.
like naturally um soft.
Yeah. Yeah. It
It's
sounds
soft.
like it's so much well-being in how you wake up and move
Yeah.
around. As
Yeah.
opposed to, like you said, the opposite is rushing and I gotta get in, I'm in the traffic and I'm in the work, and then as soon
Right.
as I walk in the door, I gotta be on it. It's
Right.
kind of like,
Right.
as opposed to waking up and hearing the birds and the wind shines
Yes.
and something to drink. And I mean, that's how life should be.
Yes,
That's
yes.
how
And then
we
right
should
around probably
live.
about 9:30 or so, then I'll come and I'll sit in this very seat. I'll open up my laptop and check my emails for the day and respond to a few. And if I'm talking with the case managers that are on the project that I work with, I might text them. Like it just feels like a nice flow. And if there's something that I need to get up and do, look at my calendar, I get up and I do it. So it just feels good. It feels good. And
Yes,
the interesting thing though is that also means that I don't necessarily work from 9 to 5 or from 8 to 4.
right. Mm-hmm.
I'm literally working all day. So I maybe
Mm-hmm.
3 o'clock, I may take a nap. I might go on my
Mm-hmm.
back. I have a little hammock back there. I might lay down and have
Ah, sounds
chill.
wonderful.
It does. But then it also 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I might be up working, editing a book or publishing. And
Right.
that feels fine to me because my
Got
day has
you.
been slow. You know,
Right.
my day has
Right.
been slow for that. Even if I'm up late, the only thing that is really any different of it being that late is that it's dark. And then it's more,
Right.
sometimes the internet is faster because everybody's asleep.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it actually turns into less of a time bound day, which I
Got
think
you.
is stress, and more of a let me follow the flow of my day, of my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much, much healthier. When I think about that, I think about how our ancestors had no control of their time, how
Right.
they had to get up and go when they were told to get up and go, and they couldn't stop and rest when they were tired. They had to
Right.
stop and rest when someone else felt like they had done enough. So when you
Right.
think about oh my God, the number of our ancestors in the years their bodies went through that,
Yes.
just the fact that we are able to wake up slowly, it's like a homage to them. It's kind of like, thank you survived so that I could honor this moment like this,
Right. That's
so
right.
that I could live differently, so that
Right.
I could feast on and express something that you had only dreams of, you know?
Right. Right.
So it's
Right.
like it's what the way you should be waking up, the
Yeah.
way you deserve to be waking up. This was paid for, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. I love to hear that. And it's different from what the mass culture purports to us, the way our life or our work day should look like, but it's right. It's more holistic. It's more to your
Yeah.
well-being,
Yeah.
more to your spirit. So I
Yeah.
love that, to let
Absolutely.
it flow in your own time. And even if, because I do the same thing, sometimes I'm up late, 1 and 2 a.m.,
Hmm.
but I'm not up late and tired. I'm up late and energetic because, to your
Yes.
point, I have paced myself throughout the day to, oh,
Yeah.
I'm alert right now. So let me do this while it's alert. Because first
Yeah.
thing in the morning, I'm not that alert to do this. I'm just
Yeah.
taking a gradual start. So
Right.
I
That's
love that. I'm glad you shared that.
right.
So now we're going to talk about a couple of things just so our listeners to get to know a little bit personal things about you, little fun things. And so the first one is going to be simply, what is your favorite food?
I have so many favorite foods. Because it changes. First of all, work from
Yes,
home,
I
I'm on
agree.
DoorDash all day. So like
Say
it
that?
literally, I could order one week. I might have an Asian meal every day. It's ramen, it's sushi, and then the following week I'm at barbecue all day. I mean,
Got you.
you know. So I don't know. I think if I had to really choose, though, it'll probably be Trinidadian food, my family's food.
Okay. Okay.
Doubles is probably one of my favorite. I'm a small eater in terms of like I eat small portions. I eat a lot, but I eat like a lot of small portions. I might have
Got
like
you.
1,000 small meals a day instead of.
Okay. Okay.
But doubles is one of my favorite meals in Trinidad because it's small. It's kind of like a handheld situation, and it it's a perfect snack for me. It's the perfect size for me.
So
For
tell us, explain, describe a doubles to us.
So doubles is like these like a roti patty skin. It's like a dough, like
Okay.
a flaky dough. Then it has chana, which is chickpeas and curry on it. So it's a vegetarian dish. I'm not
Okay.
vegetarian, but I like vegetarian food. I'm like, oh, okay, you did that with vegetables. Okay. But yeah, so it's like two pastry type of I'm not even sure what to call it because we call it bake, but it's like a pastry type of thing. And then they put the chana on top of it. They put some other seasonings, some hot pepper, usually some cut up cucumber called like cucumber chow, uh,
Uh-huh.
and you kind of just fold it and eat it. It's almost like a taco,
Ah,
but it's street food. It is like it has the
got you.
of just kind of fold it and eat it, kind of like a taco, and it's delicious. It's
That
so
sounds good. Sounds like it's full of flavor.
yes. Oh yes, it is.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, another question. So, we know you're the travel lady. So, what would you say is your favorite place? It's probably hard to pick one, but what would you say is your favorite place right now to
It
travel
is
to?
hard to pick one, but I've always said that my favorite trip will always be probably Kenya. When I went to the
Ah,
Maasai camp, it was first off I stayed at the Saroba Mara camp, which was a like a luxury tent camp situation. So even though it
okay,
looked like a tent from the outside, you walk in and it looked like a regular cabin. So that was really
okay.
nice. It was all inclusive, so our meals were inclusive, but we had 3 game drives a day. And the game drives were just kind of going out and seeing the animals. The goal is to see the big five. I think that's like a rhino, tiger, I mean, not tiger, lion, elephant, hippo, and can't think of it, and jaguar. And
Okay.
so you go and as you're trying to find the big five, of course, you see everything else. You see the zebra,
Right.
the giraffes, and everyone like they're people, right? But every animal in their own in their environment, in their natural environment,
Yes.
and that did something to me. It was like, first off, it was me being a nerd, growing up, just loving everything that had to do with learning, right? So
Uh-huh.
science, everything. But seeing National Geographic and seeing the African savanna grasses and all of this, and just reading about it and just seeing these things as just otherworldly, like just not even something
Right.
you ever see in real life, like not even. So being there in real life, that was the first thing that was like, wow, the little me,
Right.
the little me on the inside, my inner Nadine, my inner child, was
Right.
like, we're here. It was this connection moment of this is real. Like, imagine this. Then there was this other moment of feeling like God is amazing. Like, here I am worried
Yes.
about some issues, in Atlanta or in New Jersey or in New York or wherever. And there's a whole like savannah full of animals like living their life. Like it was like it was just mind blowing to me. It was just
Yes.
really freeing feeling of this world is really big and there is so much
Beautiful.
and so much that's going on. And
Yes.
you're just small fry. You're just small fry.
Uh-huh.
And all
Yeah,
you have
and your issues are just small, tiny little problems
yeah,
you thinking about over
yeah.
there. Look at
Yeah.
this.
All
Look
you have
at
to do is
this.
just is live your passion and just,
Yes.
do what you feel needs to be done. But this is what life is. But
Beautiful.
it was a great, I guess, spiritual maybe. I don't know. Which is a very it was a very deep trip for me.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
you.
And
Wonderful.
unintentionally, I went with five other people.
Yeah.
We're all very silly and we were laughing and joking the whole time, but
Uh-huh.
there were just these moments of silence for me where I was like, wow, thank you. Just of
Right.
gratitude of seeing, like really seeing the world. It was different than seeing other cities. Like to really see the savanna grasses in Africa was like,
Wow.
I made it.
Got you. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. Okay, our next question. What was your favorite childhood game?
Oh, favorite childhood game. All right, I'll take it all the way back to when I was like 4, I think like 3 or 4. I used to have this big machine called Spell It. I think it was called Spell It.
Uh-huh.
And I used to pluck away and spell words all day on that machine. And I have to remember, and the reason I remember it is because not too long ago I was thinking like, why can't people spell? And I was like, oh, because I was 4 years old walking around with a spell it machine. So it's really, why do you know how to spell so well? But I was always very much, like I said before, into learning it, whatever it was. Like, wow, like I want to read this, I want to figure this out.
All
I
right.
love that spell it machine. And I saw it was like an 80s something, some kind of 80s toy thing the other day online. And I saw the machine. I was so excited because I would walk around and it had a little handle. So it was like my
Right.
first briefcase or my first, and I would walk around with that thing and I would spell words. It got to the point where you know how adults will spell words around children so that way they didn't know. No,
Right. You
not
don't know it's a bad
I
word.
had a whole notebook where as soon as they got the spelling, let me write my notebook. And this was in the first grade, mind you. Let me write that word down. Oh no, did she say this? Or oh no,
Oh my goodness.
favorite game, a spelling game. A
Oh,
spelling game is my favorite game.
that is so funny. I was just thinking the other day about how we used to spell over our kids' heads as
Uh-huh.
parents. And you really can't do that anymore. So they
Right.
couldn't even do it around you because you would go put it in your spelling
Go
machine
get
and
my little
figure out what
notebook.
they're saying.
I
Too
sure would.
much.
Perks of being the only child. You're in every conversation and not in every conversation all at once.
Exactly. You just sitting there listening, taking it all in. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today. I love everything you shared for our listeners. We learned so much from you. We're definitely going to visit your Facebook group, visit you on Instagram, visit your website, and find those wonderful resources and those upcoming trips to be a part of. I'm going to be looking for you next month at the summit, the Black Travel Summit in Miami. I will be there.
I look forward to meeting you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you said you have another event after that in
That's in Galapagos.
Galapagos. Yes, your Galapagos Black Travel event in Galapagos.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. So we're going to be connected with you all over the place.
I love it. I love it. Hey.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for
Hopefully
having
we
me.
can have you back again.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Beautiful. So you enjoy the rest of your day and be well.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Bye.